this is like it's like an abbreviation for Mr. Hutch. Muck, muck, muck. Anyway, have a fun day today. It's pretty sweet. Check out my hair. That's awesome. Oh, sorry. I hope that didn't scare you. Hey guys, so I have a meeting with the other fourth grade teachers today, so I won't be able to be in the room, and I'm really, really sorry. I had really good time with you yesterday, and I'm just excited to teach you again. So, sort of bummer for me not to be here today. I know today isn't definitely going to be as fun as if I were here because you're just going to be following along with the video, but I'm really excited to see you later and tomorrow and teach you, and we can do fraction basketball and fun stuff. And we have cookies coming up soon, so that's some things to look forward to. If you could please make sure you have your daily CCR on the table, and you may want a calculator too. And then just continue this video, and I'm going to walk through the daily CCR with you and walk through most of the packet with you as well. So just stick with me. There's some different points where I allow you to go ahead and pause and move on and things like that. But have a great day. Stay quiet, work hard. If you have any questions, ask the sub, or just save it for me for tomorrow. I do want you to make sure you've checked homework first. So hopefully the sub told you to do that first and you threw it away. And then now you're on this video. So have a great day, and I will see you soon. Peace. So take a look at daily CCR 72. Go through this with me, please. There will be some parts that I'll let you do on your own, but walk through this together with me, so have it ready. All right, number 1, underline important info. There are 32 movies in the store. That is do you know it? If you said this, good job, you're being smart. 3/8 are action, circle that, and 1/8 is comedy. Notice it doesn't say 3/8 of the movies. You have to sort of infer that, but it's something you need to notice. All right, bracket the question. How many action and comedy? We know that means add. So let's go ahead and set things up here. So 3/8 of the movie. So right of. How many movies are there? 32. What is that as a fraction? 32 over 1. Now remember, of means multiply. So when you do this, we don't need the denominators to be the same for multiplication. You do for addition, subtraction. So we're going to multiply straight across for both of these, and we end up with some 3 times 32. Do a little side problem on the side. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. See, it's pretty quick. So we have 96 over 8. And let's label this. This is action. And then let's go ahead and we might as well solve and find out how many movies that actually is. So you can either think how many 8/8 are in this, or you can just do 96 divided by 8 and go ahead and actually solve it out. So 8 times 1 gets me close to 9 without going over. Subtract, check, bring down, box. 2 times 8 is 16. And there we go with 0. So we can see that this is actually 12 movies, 1/8 of that. Okay? So here we go. Next is 1/8 is comedy. So we have 1/8 times 32 over 1 again. And we have 32/8. So the question is, how many movies is that? So again, you can think how many 8/8s are in this. Or you can do the division 32 divided by 8. Either way, I know 4 times 8 is 32, so I know this is actually 4 movies. Okay, so there we go, and this is comedy. We do need to add them together now. So we're taking this number and adding them. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. How many action and comedy movies are there? There are 16 action and comedy, and I'm just going to put total. Okay. All right, down to number 2. Which numbers are both a factor of 12 and a multiple of 4? Notice it doesn't say not. So right here we're thinking factors are the numbers multiplied together to find a product. You need to be setting this up. Factors of 12, and then multiples of 4. Multiples are counting by the number 4. 4, 8, 12. Now this one's going to be a little bit hard to do because I must have forgot to put choices. So here's your choices. Is the answer 3? Is the answer 8? Or is the answer 4? You can choose. Make your decision wisely, my young Padawan. That was for you, Sarah. All right, and here we go. If you draw a line of symmetry on the shape, what 2 shapes do you make? So first of all, line of symmetry, slicing things in half with a lightsaber. So you need to think about where you can cut it. If I cut it here, that is definitely not 2 equal shapes. So I need to look at how to cut it. Right up the middle. When you show symmetry, show a dotted line and extend it out a little bit. So the question now is, what shapes did we make? And you can keep it pretty simple because it doesn't ask you to be specific. So what is any 3-sided shape? We made 2, and say what shapes those are. All right, go up to problem 4. Let's take a look. A quadrilateral that has 2 obtuse angles, obtuse, and 2 acute angles. Okay, so I know that it has to be something like this, probably, maybe like this, because it has obtuse, obtuse, and 2 acute. Each side is a different length. That one's gone. Which term could describe this quadrilateral then? Make your decision and make sure you draw it. All right, down here. The school is giving boxes of pencils to the classroom. Don't care. Sorry. There are 8 classrooms. Ooh, what is a classroom? It holds stuff. If you write it down before me, you are the winner. Groups. Good job. Each box has 28 pencils in each box. What code is this? If you write it before me, then you are also the winner. In each group, IEG. Bracket the question. How many pencils did they give out altogether? That means the total, question mark. All right, so go ahead and set it up. You're going to want to set this up not like this, because that's going to be a little bit more difficult to do. I would recommend setting it up like this to solve. All right, and then make sure you answer the question. And then down here, about how much is this plus this? You should know what about means. Write it here and then do it. All right, there's your daily CCR. You can just finish that and pause the video and then move on once you're done with your daily CCR. All right, there we go. Step 1 done. Now that you're done with your daily CCR, and hopefully it's all perfect and right, better be, take a look at this geometry page today. So flip over to this if you're not there. So what we're going to get into is a little bit with angles. I actually want to introduce to you sometime soon a game called Angle Tanks. If you've ever played tanks on the iPad or computer, it's similar to that. We actually shoot little mini missiles at targets, and it's really fun, actually. So I'm excited to teach you that game as well. Anyway, to do that and to do our Sphero stuff, you need to understand about the degrees of a circle. Do you know how many degrees are in a circle? 360 degrees. Very good. Nice job. Okay. So If a circle has, for example, 6 parts to it, and they're equal, that means we could take 360 and divide it up to 6 parts, and it'll tell us how many is in each part or in each group. So I do know that something times 6 equals 36, and that is 6 times 6 with the 0. So every piece is a 60-degree angle. And when I say the angle, I mean this part right here. Each of these angles are 60 degrees. And if you added them up, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, whatever, it's going to be 360. Okay, so let's go down to the actual work here. Okay, so this particular circle is divided into 9 equal parts. What is the measure of this angle right there? So I just want to know one of those parts. So the total degrees of a circle is, write it down before me if you want to win. It says write an equation using division. Good. If you are at 360, you are correct. We're dividing it into how many different equal parts? 9. Those are the groups. So please make sure you have that. If you don't, that will not be good tomorrow. And we'll find out how many are in each group or what angle each group is. So again, what times 9 equals 36, and then bring your 0 over. So the measure of this angle is, plug it in. 4 times 9 is 36. Bring the 0 over. There we go. 40 degrees each. Oops, I didn't need to put that because it already says degrees. Okay, so let's have you do some of these ones. So Janie cut a round slice of watermelon into 5 equal pieces. You can't really see it, but she just has a part there. What is the angle of each piece? So again, we're taking 360 degrees and we're dividing it into 5 equal pieces. What is the angle of each piece? It does say use equivalent fractions, so that's interesting. We'll have to look at what that means. Okay, so let's try to solve this out together. Let's see. 360 degrees divided by 5. Let's go ahead and just actually do that division. So that doesn't work. 5 times what gets me close to 36 without going over? 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 7 is 35. We have 1 left over. And when we subtract, bring down the 0 and box. 5 times what gets me close to 10 without going over? 5 times 2. And 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract, and we're all done. So there you go. So the measure of this angle is 72 degrees. I don't know why they were saying use equivalent fractions. That doesn't make sense. Okay, this one here, number 3. Frank cut a pie into 10 equal slices. So now we have a circle, but it's cut into tenths. Okay, there are only 3 slices left. So what is the measure of the angle for the 3 slices that are left? So either way, this is a little bit of a 2-step here because they do want to know what the angle is of the 3 slices total. So there's only 3 slices left. Bracket, what is the measure for the 3 slices? So first we need to figure out what 1 slice is. So we're going to take our total, which again is our, let's do it over here, 360 degrees divided into 10 slices. So go ahead, solve that out with your division. If you want to pause it and do it yourself and then see if you're right, you can. 10 times nothing, we'll do that. 10 times 3 is 30. Subtract, check, bring down, box. 10 times 6 is 60. And then obviously that'll 0 out. Okay, so each degree is 36 degrees. But I have 3 of them. Okay, so 36, 36, 36. So what is the measure of the angle? Each angle is 36, but what is 36 times 3 of them? That, my dear kind lady and sirs, is your answer. So solve that out. All right, and then on to number 4. Maria cut a pizza into 8 equal slices. She puts a slice onto 3 plates. What is the measure of the angle for the slices that are left? This is the exact same question as number 3, except that we're dealing with 8 slices instead. So see if you can set this one up on your own. You have a total divided by how many slices there are. This will tell you how many each slice is, but then you need to focus on 3 of those slices. So just like we did before. So if drawing a picture helps you, go ahead and do that. You have, it's out of 8 slices this time. So 360 degrees divided by 8. Find out how much one slice is. And then remember that you actually need to find out all 3. So you're going to have to multiply times 3 or just add, just like we did in problem 3. All right, so finish that one, pause things, and then move on to the next page and the next part of the video. So what we're going to get into now is representing fractions, decimals, and the word names. You all should actually be pretty good at this because I've been spiraling this all year and you've done really well with it. So just get a little review with me and then I'll let you go pretty quick with it. So first thing I want you to do is I want you to look at this right here and notice what the denominator is. So look at that, the denominator, how many equal parts are in this. So if you count, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's out of tenths. So we would say this is tenths as a fraction. Or you know that here's our decimal. This is the tenths place. So just understand that these are equal to each other, tenths as a fraction and the actual tenths place. So if you looked at this, how much is the numerator? The amount that's shaded. So 1/10 is shaded. And we can also write that as a decimal by saying 0 and 1/10 because there's 0 wholes right here. Okay? So if we bring that over to here, the fraction is 1/10. The decimal is 0.1, and I do want you to put the 0. It makes it stand out better. And the word name, we're actually going to write in words 1/10. Okay, so that's all we're doing for this. Go ahead and you can do number 2 on your own in a moment or right now if you want to pause it. All right, and number 3. Here we go. If you need to peek at your partner to see if you did number 2 correctly, you can, but I want you to keep working on this by yourself. All right, so now notice it wants you to look at the mixed number. So we're just wondering how many wholes and how many extra for the fraction. So I see 1 whole here. And then over here, we see 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 10th size pieces. So we'll go ahead and write 1 whole and 4/10. As a decimal, just think about what you're saying. 1 and 4/10. 1 whole, we know and means the decimal. And then the tenths place, let's take it to the right. We've got tenths, hundredths. The tenths place is right here. So this is 4/10. Please be aware, if I put a 0 here, this is still 4/10. Okay? Yes, it's also 40 hundredths, but imagine over here if I cut this all up like crazy, that would be 40 hundredths. So you can see why it's the same technically. Okay. All right. So get rid of that though. All right. The word name is 1 and you need to write FOURTENTHS. All right. So take a look down below here, number 4. Let's look at the fraction of this. This is cut up into how many pieces do you think? It's not tenths. Tenths are these rows. Yes, these are actually hundredths or 0.10 hundredths. So this is what we're marking in. And you just need to make sure your number, when you say hundredths, is going to end up right here. All right, so let's look at this. We know that each column is 10, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then the extra 1, 2, 3. So we have 53, which think about that. That's 5 tenths, and 3 hundredths, or 53 hundredths. Okay, which also looks like this is a fraction. All right, so let's go ahead and write it over here. So this is 53 hundredths. It's 0 wholes, no holes, and 53 hundredths, or 5/10, 3 hundredths. And we need to write 50 dash, THREE, and then hundred, and then make sure you have the snake at the end. Okay, you can do number 5 and pause right now if you want, or do it when I'm done talking. All right, let's look at number 6. This is the same thing but mixed number, so you're just looking at the whole here. So now we have one whole and a fractional piece, which we can see again is cut into hundredths, or 0 point something something. Okay, so now we want to look right away. We know there's one whole, and then, oops, so this shouldn't be a 0. This is one whole and something something. Okay, don't forget that whole, that's important. So you can even mark that in right away. I keep burping from dinner, that's gross. Good thing you can't smell it. Ugh. All right, so one whole, and how many tenths? 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, and here's our hundredths pieces, 4 hundredths. So 3/10 and 4 hundredths is obviously the same thing as 34 hundredths. So 1 and 34 hundredths, or 1 and, which means decimal, 3, 4, and it ends in the hundredths place. So let's write it. 1 and THIRTY dash FOUR, and then HUNDREDTHS, the snake. All right, and then you can do number 7. Again, don't forget, right away you have a whole and you have extra pieces. All right, and then flip over to the next page once you're done, and then continue the video. And if you look back here to something like this, if I shade it in 3/10, you can see that 3/10 is the exact same thing as 30 hundredths. Okay, so all right, so let's take a look at this page together. The circled ones are ones you're going to do on your own, so I'll just walk through what I expect for you with this. So right away, they want you to sort of look at these fractions and write the fraction and write the decimal. So they want you to make an equivalent fraction. They're setting you up to be able to add all of these. You can't add tenths plus hundredths, so you need to make them look the same. So the thing I want you to notice, write a fraction decimal, is that 3/10 looks like this. And if I make the equivalent fraction and do times 10 over 10, it's going to make 30 hundredths. So I do want you to see a couple things. Look at the only thing they put on the end here to make it say 30 hundredths. So 3/10 is literally the exact same as 30 hundredths. Looking back at here, there's a couple things you can be thinking about. Number 1 is, if you understand that, then you know that you can take something like 3/10 and literally just put a 0 here and put a 0 here, and you made an equivalent fraction because you put 1 0 on the top, 1 0 on the bottom, and that's the same thing as multiplying by 10 and multiplying by 10, because we know 10 times more just moves the decimal place. So that's something to just be aware of that can make this quite a bit simpler for you. That's the same thing with this. If I literally just put a 0 here, I just changed it to 30 hundredths. It's still the same thing. I have 3/10 and nothing else, 0/10 or 0 hundredths. So something to just be aware of. But it is good to also be able to show your work and show how you created that equivalent fraction. So just like this one, if I want it to be hundredths, I do know that I can just put zeros on the end. But if I have to show work, which yes, you do, we can just show times 10 over 10 and show that it creates 40 hundredths. Okay. Down below, I can show 4/10, which is in this spot right here. And I do know that I can just put a 0 in to make it 40 hundredths. So right here, oops, 40, and it stops in the hundredths place, so it's called 40 hundredths. If I did it again, another equivalent fraction would be 400 thousandths. You know, you could just keep putting zeros on as much as you want. It doesn't change it. It's still only 4 tenths and 0 hundredths, just like this one is 4 tenths and 0 hundredths. Okay? All right, so that's all you're doing with this. So number 3, though, you can see that we're going down instead. Going down for real. Do-do-do-do-do-do. So instead of multiplying, we're dividing by 10 over 10. Or, again, you know that it's the same thing as just crossing out 1 0 in each one. And so it's going to be 7 tenths, but again, we're showing our work. So there we go. 7 times 10 is 70. We do need to write this down here. So 70 hundredths, we just write 70 and make sure it ends in the hundredths place. 7 tenths, 0.7, ends in the tenths place. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Go ahead, you can do 4, 5, and 6 on your own. Take notice whether you're multiplying or dividing. Okay, if you're going down to make that one, it's going to be dividing by 10 over 10. So just pay attention to that as you show that work. I want it to look like the ones up above. Okay, so go ahead and pause if you need. I'm going to continue on to 7 and 8. All right, number 7. Number 7, it says each question on the test is worth 10 points. Lola, my name is Lola. All right, Lola got 9 out of 10. That sounds like a fraction to me. Okay, write a fraction and a decimal that show the portion she got correct. Okay, so she got 9 tenths correct. That shows the fraction. And I need to write that as a decimal. So just listen to what you're saying. 9 tenths, that's 0 wholes, and 9 tenths. Take it to the right, we've got tenths, hundredths. And voila, I just did what I need. So all done. Okay, Lex has 10 pages to write. Ooh, it's a boy. I thought it was a girl. So deceiving. He has written 7 pages so far. Write a fraction and a decimal that show the portion that he still has to write. Ooh, I have to pay attention to this. That means the part that he has left over. So he's written 7 so far. So I need to sort of pay attention to this. He's done 7 out of 10 so far. Okay, but we need to focus on how much does he still have to write. So what is left over beyond the 7 tenths? How much more does he have to write? So 7 tenths, 8 tenths, 9 tenths, 10 tenths. He has 3 tenths left to write. That's what he's written so far. So this is what I'm actually using. So be really careful with looking at what the question's asking. So 3 tenths is what he has left. I need to write it as a decimal. That's 0 wholes and 3 tenths. Okay, so that's all we're doing with that. Take a look at 4 or 9 and 10 on your own. You can see this person gives 50 cents, right? It's out of 100. This one, they've ridden 40 miles so far. Pay attention to the question, just like number 8. How much does she have left to ride out of 100? So this one is very similar to up above. All right, go ahead and work on that. When you're done, go back to the video and flip over to your page. So this page is going to use what you just did, but have you actually add all these fractions up. So what we're going to do, please remember, you cannot add and subtract fractions with different denominators. You cannot do that. You need to make them look the same, then you can join them or subtract them. In this case, it's all adding. So let's take a look at number 1A. I can see I have hundredths. I am not going to try to take the hundredths down to the tenths. Dividing up that 47 would be very annoying. Don't do that. Always just take the tenths and make it be hundredths. It's so much easier, especially if you know that by taking 3 tenths and multiplying by 10 over 10, automatically that's just like putting zeros on the end. So since you know how that works, we do have an easy trick that we can just do for creating equivalent fractions. We multiply both parts by 10 over 10, and instantly you created your new fraction. So now you just need to add up 47 plus 30 plus 50 and get your total amount out of 100. So let's see, 50, 60, 70, 80. Oh, this is going to be above 100, so I'm going to have more than a whole. So I might write this over here. 50 plus 30 plus 47. 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes. I have 127 over 100. So I know a whole is 100 over 100. So that's one whole and 27 left out of 100. Okay? So you could do that, or you could divide, but I think that's sort of easy for you to see how much more than 100 you have there. All right, so let's look at 1b. All right, guys, let's look at 1b. You can see the hundredths here, so we need to make these be hundredths. And again, at this point, if you want to fly through this because you see how easy this can be, you're welcome to do that. Of course, if you had to show work, you'd have to show the times 10 over 10. I'm at this point going to say that you don't need to show work on that. So if you understand that doing times 10 over 10 is going to put an extra 0 on each spot, you can show that work, and that can be good enough, and then go ahead and add things up. I do want to see, I don't want you like eyeballing the addition here and messing that up. So just be really careful when you add those up. If you need to do a little problem on the side like I'm doing, do that so you get an accurate answer. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we have 178 over 100. Here's the cool thing. I mean, look how easy it is to see how much is over 100 hundredths. So I have one whole and 78 hundredths is my answer. Okay, so go through that process. And I'm going to do the next 4 real quick. If you want to do it with me, you can. If you want to skip through at this point and just do them all on your own and be done listening to me, at this point, I'm actually cool with that. Okay, so it's up to you. I'll just do the next 4. So you're either done listening to me or keep going. But I do want you to know, once you're done with this, I want you to do a round of extra math and do ST math for the remainder of the math time, please. We're not going to do other things today. So I need you to stay quiet and do that while I'm gone. All right, good job, guys. Thanks for putting up with that. I know it's not the same as me being here, so I appreciate it, and I'm sorry. All right, here we go. I'm going to use the trick of times 10 over 10. I know it puts the zeros at the end, and I have 150 plus 14 plus 60, which gets me 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, regroup, 224 over 100. How many hundredths are there? There's 224 left over out of 100. This one, times 10 over 10, times 10 over 10. And on the side, I have 77 plus 50 plus 170. I have 7. 7 and 7 is 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 297 over 100. How many hundredths are there? There's 2 wholes and 97 hundredths left. If you don't understand how I'm getting that, make sure you ask me tomorrow, please. Don't just copy me and assume you're good. All right, times 10 over 10. And then we're going to add those all up. 59 hundredths plus 30 hundredths plus 90 hundredths. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 179 hundredths. How many 100 hundredths are there? There's 1 whole and 79 left over. And last one that I'm doing with you, if you're still following me, are these 2. So we have 130 plus 35 plus 190, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Hopefully these are all right. 355 hundredths. How many hundredths are there? I have 300 hundredths and 55 left over out of 100. Okay, and of course, if you did that division on the side, you would get the same thing. Okay, all right. Bottom section is for you to do, so you can go ahead and finish that so you have no homework, and then go ahead and do extra math and then ST math for the remainder of class. All right, good job. If you need help with anything, let me know tomorrow. Peace.